Yeah, that's what I heard. I was like, what? I
Yeah,
don't know what.
I didn't click on the stream earlier.
Okay, no, it's all right. All right, well, they gonna hear this because I'm not restarting it. Welcome to the Rocket
Oh,
Lucky Podcast. This is episode 56. I am your host, Supreme King, and I am joined by my co-host as always, and his name is.
it's your guy Omazes.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining me today, sir. Glad you decided to show up today.
Yeah.
Um, as always, I don't think he's ever missed one. But I'd like to thank everybody who's been patient with me. I think I have my like setup ready for like recording more solo vids because I have not done that in a while. And I want to start doing that more often, and I think I have that set up. One of them that I want to talk about is going to be our next actual topic, which is this Xbox Activision thing. But I hope everybody's enjoying the summer. It's cool right now, very cool over here, and I hope everybody's having some good gaming, But yeah, first topic. It ain't gotta take too long. This episode probably gonna be short anyway. But Xbox is in the news with this Activision deal officially, well, not officially yet, but it's almost over. Their biggest hurdles have just been annihilated a couple days ago, and we might be hearing this upcoming week the official merger. Like they've done everything that they needed to do. But basically, Activision beat the FTC in court, and you know what's funny about it is they attempted to appeal, and I guess the appeal got denied like almost immediately. And so I've seen headlines where people are saying they beat them twice. But yeah, I guess this upcoming week, maybe as early as Monday, the first business day, or maybe 2-3 business days, you might hear an announcement of this being officially over. If it goes past the week, it's probably gonna be a super eye roller because I didn't really want to talk about this anymore. But yeah, one of the longest news cycles is coming to an end. I think this started like March of last year. I think it was March last year.
It's been a long while.
And they just kept pushing it back, and gathering information. And at first, I think it was like the UK was mad, and then it was like the CMA, and then some monopoly about cloud, and all these little things. And then finally, I guess the court, the judge is a Xbox fanboy. I don't know. I guess because they said it came down to some judge. I guess so. Shout out to the judge. He's probably not welcome on any PlayStation podcast. But
Not unless he wants to get yelled at, I guess.
Yeah. The one thing I want to see, so I'm still gonna make solo content on this, but I would like to see, because most likely almost everything that was named as a asset was something that will probably end up in Game Pass at some point. But I would like to see all of the old Call of Duties show up there, and they do like the FPS boost on some of the ones that was from the 360 generation and before.
That would be cool.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure even the hardcore of the hardcore Call of Duty players, I'm pretty sure there's 1 or 2 campaigns here and there that they've all missed. I know I've missed like a lot of them. And I would like to have them there, because then you can just run through each campaign, and it's like then Call of Duty will have a little bit more value for you if you are more of a single player person. There's a whole lot of campaigns over and over and over again from all the Call of Duties, and to see them all go there would probably be huge. But then I also would like to see some of the other names from underneath Call of Duty, from all of these like talented studios, to come back or start something new. Mainly start something new, but you would like to see a game here and there. I think that Spyro deserves one more game, a brand new game. If we're doing all this type of stuff we're doing with Crash, I appreciate the actual Crash game, Crash 4. That free to play one, not so much though. But I would like to see another was like Spyro come out of there. maybe, move some of these like one of the Call of Duty teams to help out with Halo, however you can do it.
Cool.
Activision, because Activision used to be really, really big in the PS3 360 era. It wasn't just Call of Duty that was coming out under Activision. They used to have like so many different games. Mm-hmm. And Call of Duty was on the rise, but they were actively like producing other stuff. And so
I just remember that they did Prototype.
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
I would like some non famous superhero games again. Like Infamous is done, right? Because who does Infamous? It was one of my,
Infamous is Ghost of Tsushima, or
yeah,
that's under PlayStation.
Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch does if you look at their track record, for the most part, it's like they do 3 and then they stop, right? So we had Infamous 2, and Infamous Second Son as the 3 main entries, and then they moved on. But for Prototype was the other superhero game that wasn't owned by Marvel or DC. And we had Prototype and Prototype 2. Maybe with them having Activision, they can bring another Prototype back.
There is some gray areas in there, like Tony Hawk, because I believe Tony Hawk was a name under there, but I'm like, Tony Hawk is a person. So it's like, how does... I don't think they own a person. So
they don't own the person, but I'm sure they can work with Tony Hawk again because he wanted to do a 3 and 4 remake. They did a 1 and 2 remake.
Right. The question is just
Spyro.
For something like that and Spyro, will it be multiplayer? We keep having all these type of questions, but I guess with Call of Duty, there was this 10-year thing that they were talking about. Now, what's really funny about it is it was confirmed almost. They confirmed it before they even had the deal. They still technically don't have the deal, but they confirmed that it was going to go to Nintendo Switch for 10 years. Or that they had a deal on the table for that. But according to what we know so far, PlayStation didn't take that deal. And so once it's actually wrapped up, it doesn't mean that it's going to go to PlayStation for 10 years. We don't know. We would imagine that they would probably do some sort of PR thing. But yeah, at least we do know that they wanted to do a 10-year thing on Nintendo. Which it still seems kind of goofy because it's the hardware would probably not be able to take it. Cloud probably, but who's playing Call of Duty Cloud on Nintendo? But yeah, I'm glad it's over. I just thought it was really it got to the point where more exciting news was coming out little by little, and then we just kept hearing about this little by little. It was annoying. I thought Jim Ryan in a lot of cases was very, very
ridiculous.
Disgraceful was the term that I was thinking in my head. But yeah, ridiculous, embarrassing. Some of it was very embarrassing, because I was just dude, have some class. Sit here and be I don't say something I don't care. Say something I got this and I got that, but yeah, that's over with. You got any other last words on that? I don't know how long we could take on that. It's not that big of a deal to me no more. Yeah.
I'm interested to see if PlayStation's gonna push to also try and buy a studio, and if they're like Square Enix or something.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that because I've always been hearing people say that they should try to buy Square Enix. And it kind of cringes me to hear it because they would say what Xbox was doing was wrong in a way, or they're taking games from another platform, but that's kind of what Square Enix was doing. But at the same time, I don't see the value in them owning Square Enix because it's what would change if the Square Enix was already going out of their way to not put games on Xbox? Because if you remember the Pixel collection, the Final Fantasy Pixel collection, it was literally everywhere but Xbox. It was on Android and on Apple. You can get it there. Clearly it was ROMs, But you can get it there. You can get it on PC, PlayStation, and Nintendo. And it didn't have an Xbox version. But when they show how many versions of the game it was, or the series of games, it was like so many versions, and Xbox was the only one missing. And it was just like, that looks so goofy. Mm-hmm. But they were already on that energy, so it's like, I don't know how.
I don't see what buying them would do. It's just, I'm interested to see if they pick another company. I don't know. Square Enix feels like the easy way out.
But it would be. I think the only reason would be to give the fanboys something to brag about. Like, I don't see value happening from that. It actually seems like it will be worse for Square Enix, in my opinion, because now you're potentially taking away money from Nintendo, right? If they're going to be exclusive to PlayStation, then they don't sell a game like the Pixel Collection to the Switch, or Octopath Travelers, which is big on the Switch, right? They would have to give that up completely just to say that they're the PlayStation studio, and then it's like, for what? Like, for what? Yeah, I don't know. I think the games that are under each umbrella just simply need to come out better. And it's not like the quality of the idea is bad. It's usually just how it turns out when it comes to just things like bugs, frame rate issues, the day one patches, those are the main things on both sides.
Now, my other thing though, that I wonder is if the games still release on multi-plat, like if Xbox is like, we own the studio, but we don't care. Or even if they do the thing where like a year later, it comes out on the other system, the thing that sometimes happens on the PlayStation side. I wonder if there'll be backlash from the X fan base or bragging from the PlayStation fan base on some like, y'all bought it and we can still get it or something like that. Or
I think it would be some backlash. Like if they decide to do a thing where Call of Duty comes to PlayStation a year late every time, and it doesn't come with like DLC or something random, like there will be a huge backlash of people just furious. But I don't think that they're going to do that, because I think they want to keep it really nice and clean looking so that they can get the next deal and the next deal. Because it's like, if they do something slick, then all of a sudden, because it came out really last minute that they wanted to buy Sega, and that they actually wanted to buy Bungie at one point again, and that they were just looking at everybody, right? Yeah. And it's like, the next deal would not be that good if they just turn around and be like, ha ha ha, and then just put the middle finger up and be like, you're going to get this game a year late. We barely going to optimize it. And like, it would look bad, because then if they'd be like, okay, let's buy Sega or let's buy whoever, then that deal would absolutely not go through. Like, they would have a lot of evidence for it to not go through. But if Good Guy Phil decides to be Good Guy Phil like he's been this entire time, and be nice and cheery and everything, like, I can see him doing a lot more deals. I don't think another deal is going to come through there this year, but I do think they're going to probably announce something like in 2024, middle to late 2024. But
I didn't think there'll be another one talked about until 2025. Like, I feel like there has to be something to show for from this deal before they announce another deal.
But the thing about it is, like, at the same time, like, PlayStation was still doing a lot of deals. They were just small deals. I think Xbox can keep doing small deals as much as they want. It's just the eyes was on them a little bit more unfairly because the deal was so big. But all those other deals is nowhere near the size of the Activision deal. The Activision deal was $68 billion, right? Where something like Bungie, I think, was like 2 or 3, or I think it was like 3.5. Blue Point, was that what it's called? I forgot. Like the Fire Sprite, I think, was another one under PlayStation. Like, all of those was tiny. Those are all tiny in comparison to like Activision. I don't think they're going to do another Activision sized deal probably for the rest of the generation, because I'm not sure who out there is really worth that much money, unless you actually buy Nintendo, which is crazy. That's like the only one that's like really worth that kind of money. But like when you're talking about like people who are really wanting to sell, a lot of them are like less than $1 billion. They're not even at where the ZeniMax Bethesda deal was, because that was like $7 billion. But a lot of these companies are not even that high, you know. The only other ones who are giants that people know about is something like Capcom and Ubisoft and Square Enix, but they're still able to hold their own on their own. And it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Capcom to buy or to sell to one of the entities, you know. Capcom is doing great. But what about a studio like the studio that made Biomutant, or the studio that made the vampire game, the werewolf game, Saints Row? That's under a bracer, but what if they break them off and be like, okay, you guys suck? And that type of thing. Because when Activision was ready to be sold, like there was all that bad news that happened, all the controversial stuff within the actual building with like the men and women, and then the Bobby Kotick dude where he's just like the evilest person ever overnight, right? And you know, once the deal is over, I would imagine he still might be gone or going with his like really, really crazy retirement package. Because I remember it was something like 400 million or something like that. And then he just rides off into the sunset, you know. Yeah. So I wonder
if I got 400 million right now, bro, like I can retire like so young. Like I can make 400 million last for the rest of my life. That is crazy.
Yeah, and he's already up in age, right? And so it was that, but like it's died down, because I remember that lawsuit thing I think was settled, and then everything surrounding his name kind of just died down, and he was still active. Like he's still technically active and working. And so we don't even know if he will leave. Maybe he might still resume control over there, because nobody's talking about him. They're just talking about the deal in general. But I guess we'll see in maybe the next week or two, because the FTC was denied, so they were denied. But we could probably move on. The next topic, a funny topic that came out of nowhere. This came out of nowhere, like maybe the last 48 hours, that maybe we can talk about. It's more of a rumor. It's not official yet, but I look at the track record and I say, like, this looks like it's going to be something that's official. And basically, The Last of Us Part 2 is supposed to get a remaster, remake kind of thing for the PS5, similar to how we've heard about Horizon Zero Dawn, where it's like, it doesn't make sense that they're going to do that, but it looks like they're going to do that.
Why? What is going to be upgraded? Like sweat? Like what actually is going to be upgraded for the PS5?
The money.
What's going to make it look
It's going to be the money. It's going to be your money that's going to be upgraded. You're going to have to pay the upgrade fee for them to do whatever they got to do. What's funny is I remember Last of Us Part 2 actually got a 60 FPS upgrade for the PS5. Like, I want to say a few months after the PS5 came out. So I'm not sure what else is going to happen. If anything, it's just more of their, like, what they did with Last of Us Part 1, where they did, like in the cutscenes, they're, you know, squinting a little bit more, and their eye features are, like, moving around a little bit more, maybe.
It ain't that needed, bro. Like, I don't know, with some of these upgrade features, like, the systems can't handle it. Yeah. Like, this is what we've been seeing with everything coming out broken. Like, 4K, super hyper realistic people walking around. Like, the systems just can't handle it. And that's okay. We don't need this.
Is it okay?
Like, do something different. That the system can't handle it, we can manage.
We can manage.
Like, to a degree, we can manage.
my only drawback on that is just they still advertised it on the box.
Yeah, that's an issue.
That's just my thing. It's like it was advertised on the box. Like literally, if you have a PS5, on the box it says 4K 120. It literally says that. That's a really high margin.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. They lied.
Because now I don't think there's like, what was the game that hit that margin? Like I'm really trying to know which one.
Play?
It's got to be something that's like 2D ish. It's got to be one of those like the Outer World thing or what is it called? The one where it's like,
Wild?
Yeah, one of them. Like it's no way it's God of War like on the screen. Like not 4K at 120 frames. You're right. Right.
You forgot the word. It was or they put it in quotations. Like it feels like.
I'll go find the box right now. Ain't no way. Because not only that, let's address the other one. They put 8K on the box. Yep. Please show me which one of these games is 8K coming from that system.
But even with that said, that doesn't mean go back and redo the preview.
Yeah.
Either work on it till it can do it and then release it, or leave it alone if the game is done. Like, stop trying to just get more money. There's that phrase, like the beating the dead horse.
Yeah.
And everything. That's what you're doing here. It's like the game is said and done. And then it's just like, you can't. Why would you remake something that's not even 10 years old?
Yeah, this obviously is a cash grab, just like the last one, where everybody can admit that literally only when you were in the cutscenes and stuff could you really see the difference. There was some difference here and there with bullet damage, like if you hovered over a body and just like kind of shot it execution style in a way where the dude would already have been, dead. But then you shot him again, it's like it'll show like a little bulge of like you shot off parts of him a little bit. Some small details. It's very small though. It's like the setting is obviously exactly the same. It's gonna go exactly the same. Story, everything was exactly the same. It was just tiniest detail. How many times though
are you wasting a bullet to execution style someone who's dead?
Yeah, I don't know. Especially not in Last of Us. You wouldn't do it that much.
Right?
Like I could see if it was like similar to Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 4 remake, like that's a actual upgrade there.
There's different, like years of difference.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's going to be anything really upgraded.
Yeah.
From Last of Us 2 to now.
Yeah, of course not.
Like especially because I could see if like the game was missing like one key thing of like something that didn't exist yet or something like that, but like nothing is innovative has come out to be like, oh yeah, we can do that now.
I think that Jim Ryan, like if they're really not going to get that Call of Duty no more or Call of Duty money the way that they were getting it before anymore, you probably gonna see a lot of games do this. You're gonna see like what was that game, the giant thing, the giant whatever it's called. Guardian? Yeah, Last Guardian. You probably gonna see them do that. They'll finally do Bloodborne. Bloodborne was the one everybody wanted them to upgrade. But then they'll do like literally all the other ones. Instead of you just having like, I still feel like it should just play the PS4 versions of these games as if they were the PS5 versions when you're on the PS5. But they're making it seem like they can't. And then, Microsoft has this thing called Smart Delivery, which at first it just sounded like it was a gimmick, but what makes it sound valuable is the business practices of PlayStation, which is probably going to bite them a little bit more in the long run, because now the situation with their live service games that they're trying to push was not working, I guess, because the fans don't want live service. They want, pure AAA exclusive games. And you're having a situation where the other part of this, which is Last of Us Factions or Factions 2, is what seemed to be pushed back indefinitely right now just because of the whole... Yeah, I don't know if it's canceled. That would be wild if it was.
I think it's canceled.
You think it's canceled? Because they said they were supposed to also still have a story with it as well, though, right? With a whole new group of people. Like that. But it was the live service aspect of it. Like the companies at one point, because remember when everybody was sitting back on their tables, they all thought that the NFT thing was going to boom. They thought the metaverse thing was going to boom, and that we the people was just going to be enjoying the fact that we're just handing them money for either nothing or partial something and not the full thing. And unfortunately it didn't work that way.
Well, I know. So there was a report that Bungie had looked at the Last of Us factions and was just like, it's lacking, and that's why I got pushed again.
Yeah, like that's kind of funny. It's like, how does Bungie have that type of pull over Naughty Dog? I was taken aback about that a little bit when I was hearing some of the noise. The politics behind that seemed a little odd. I feel like Naughty Dog should rank higher to PlayStation than Bungie. I don't know, but
Bungie got Destiny money.
I don't know what's happening, but however, you might see this. I remember original rumors of it was they were going to release a PS5 version of Last of Us 2, and Factions 2 was just going to come along with it. That's what the fans were saying. This was like a year ago, but now it seems like Factions 2 is going to be its own separate thing altogether, and it was most likely going to be a $70 game, which is odd because it seems like it was also going to have microtransactions. So I think PlayStation is going to introduce $70 games that have microtransactions.
That's a big issue. It ties into one of mine, but that is a big issue.
That's a big issue.
I hate that. Like, for one, they don't need microtransactions if you're going to charge full price. For a game. Microtransactions should really be in just free-to-play games.
They also, in my opinion, they charge an extra because they were the ones who started the $70 thing. Everybody else was still doing $60. They started to adjust, but they started that. I was still salty about that because I kind of felt like it wasn't deserved yet.
Oh, no. Well, it's definitely not deserved if you still can't do 60 frames per second. Like, it's just like, sorry, we just can't. Well, then what was the point of upgrading?
Yeah,
like, why the games in the PS5 aren't doing anything that the PS4 can't handle.
Yeah.
And you can't even make it to where it can do that. So as much as I make a joke earlier saying, like, it's okay, we get it, you can't do it. But at the same time, it's a problem that you can't do it.
Yeah, because you're still charging, and it's like, that's not a quality product at launch.
Yep. But let's talk about it, and it does tie into my topic. So, Dreadnought and Lemnis Gate, both of those games are shutting down. Dreadnought was a free-to-play ship battle game. So that one's shutting down in like a couple days, or to July 19th, I believe. So those who play Dreadnought, sorry, it's ending. Lemnis Gate has already been removed. And that one was cost money. So it was a first-person shooter turn-based game. Mm-hmm. So it was like a cool game that like kind of blended the two, and it was still multiplayer. But that one's also shutting down. And I even looked, and you can't purchase it anymore, like on Steam. But my issue is that it cost money to begin with, and now it's gonna shut down, and you just can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And it's games with microtransactions and everything like that too, and it's just sorry, you can't play it anymore.
Yeah, my biggest issue with that, it goes back to those other games before I think I mentioned, which was like Knockout City, Marvel Avengers, Marvel Avengers being one of the biggest. But it's like games that are shutting down, but it's shutting down in the generation and not after the generation, and more importantly, like within the first half and technically within just a year for a lot of these games. I believe Back for Blood was not that old either. I think its servers are probably going to go down soon. What was the other ones? Knockout City, I think we talked about, where I think only the PC version of that is the one that's alive, right? It was a bunch of stuff, because we reported it before, like a bunch of stuff that was supposed to shut down all by the summertime. And then Marvel's Avengers was supposed to be by September. And that's a game that I have to, I got to turn that on go in there and claim all the outfits.
So I don't know if I told you this. I tried to do that. I downloaded the PS5 version because I own the PS4. But I have the PlayStation Premium, and I ordered the PS5 version.
Okay.
When I opened it, it can't get past the loading screen.
Oh, for real?
The game just ain't working. Yeah, and I think I was supposed to like delete it and reinstall it, and I was like, I'm not doing all that. Oh, so I ended up not doing it yet. But it
so as of right now, it's just not working. Is this, or at least for you, it's not news yet. But how long ago was
that? June.
That sucks because I just in the middle of the week. I downloaded it, and if I remember correctly, it was over 100 gigs.
Yep. I deleted something, and I was gonna get a new game, but I was like, "Ooh, let me just do this real quick in between," and I downloaded it, and it wouldn't get past the loading screen. I deleted it that same day, and just got the game that I was actually going after. I think it was NBA, because NBA was also like a lot of gigs. So in between downloading NBA, I downloaded that.
Well, that sucks because I still wanted to play the campaign regardless. I didn't have to do all the extra stuff, but
yeah, it probably again is certain games when they download, if it like messes up, you can just uninstall and reinstall. I just wasn't bothering doing that. But
well, I'll take a look myself because I have it installed. I have it installed on my end. So
my issue with the whole shutting down stuff, especially, is making us pay for games that are purely online.
Yeah.
Right? Or like there is really like outside of a tutorial, there isn't like a single player component, and I had to pay for the game. Because like you could just shut down and that's it. My money's just gone, and I can never like even with Marvel Avengers, however you feel about it, there is still a nice, like relatively nice, like single player campaign to get through, right? So if you want to play it, you still have a single player campaign to get through, with the story and everything that you can fully play, as opposed to like Lemnis Gate, right? It's just shutting down and boom, you're done, because it was purely online, or Knockout City, or even Fall Guys and things like that. Which Fall Guys now moved to a free to play model, but beforehand people would have paid for it, and nope, it can be like just gone, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it does show. So, like, it shows.
Action, if like you need to be purely online and they shut down servers, and like that's it, and you paid $70 for this with microtransactions, and it's gone. Or even multiverses, right, where people paid for stuff and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, multiverses is kind of weird too, because they're like, "Oh, we're coming back." And it's like, well, you could have left it for the people who did, like they were true to it. Yeah. Like I don't understand.
Like, I do feel like if it's a free to play game, then you buying into the microtransactions is almost like a risk you're willing to take for a free to play, because it can shut down at any point. Even though I don't like them to, but I feel like if you had to pay for a game, there really shouldn't be microtransactions. Because what are you trying to make up the money for? You don't need it.
Yeah,
pay full price for the game. And second, there should be some heavy single player stuff, because it's not fair that it can just shut down and you paid money for something that just don't work in 5 years.
I mean, this might sound controversial in a way, or maybe unrealistic, but I think any game that's shutting down, the company should release like some sort of ROM version into the wild and just say, well, here this is, and you can just take it and host your own server with your internet with your friends. Yeah. Similar to like
well, Knockout City, some people made like their own private servers that you can join, and things like that. But that's like, okay, so you got it on PC, you can do that.
Right.
I had it on PlayStation. Now I just can't play it anymore.
Yeah, but it's just weird because these things are happening in this generation where it's like how do you not have the money to keep this going? But there are games that are still on the PS3, Xbox 360 generation where you still have access to certain stuff online, regardless of if it has a full lobby or not. It's like you still have access. Like when we play Resident Evil 5 and 6, we hosted our own servers. Remember that we had to join? It was like a whole little process, but we were able to do it. That game was set up that way, and it was cool. And like, if somebody got disconnected for whatever reason, their character like instantly went back to NPC mode. But it was just like, at the very least, it was still an option for us to do that. And I feel like a lot of these new games should start off with that by default. You know, I don't understand why they can't just do that. And also,
and they can do that if they had a single player component to it with like computers programmed to do stuff.
Yeah.
But if you don't program computers to like do like, again, you said if you're dropped out, like it would just become like a dummy computer character. If you don't have it programmed that way, like for example, It Takes Two.
Yeah.
If that was like an online game only, and then the other person left, so now you just can't play, and everything. That's the issue where it's like you're paying $70, and now It Takes Two is different because it was designed to be co-op, but you can couch co-op it. Where
they also gave you the pass. It was like only one person needed to buy.
Needs to buy it. So it's that as opposed to just this game is shut down because it requires 20 people in a match. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just strange because I just feel like they're trying to save money here and there, and it's like, how do you not have the money? Like, if you don't have the money to do this, why are you making a game to begin with? That's just kind of my thought process. Because how do you shut a game down in a year? Like, homie, it's a year. Like, you ain't even go nowhere. You ain't even do nothing. It takes people 2-3 years to figure out. And they usually figure things out. They figure out the games exist simply because of things like Black Friday sales and stuff. Yep. Or like when I went into the store recently and there was like games that were like $5 each. There was still stuff there that I didn't know too much about, but I knew it wasn't as important. And then I bought my official now copy of Ratchet and Clank, right? Mm-hmm. But that was there, but like some of the other games could have been there, and that's how you would have discovered them. Simply because, it's a $5 sale, whatever, I'll do it, it's $5. And then you discover the game, and then you might pay bigger money for the sequel. Like, for example, Remnant from the Ashes, we thought was a good hit. So I can see us buying the sequel at a much higher price, or maybe not too higher, than what we would have paid for Remnant for the Ashes, the first game, right?
Right, because we've now bought into it, right?
You're bought into it, yeah. So that's kind of how some of these franchises would work. And what's so strange is Knockout City, it seems like it's a hit though. Still, I still don't see how this is not a hit. I still see people play this now. Streamers.
When I was playing it, I didn't get locked out of like any servers. Like when I was playing the game a lot, and like there was always full lobbies for me. Like I didn't have to just wait and not do anything. So it was crazy when they did.
Yeah, that one just seemed odd. I'm like, because it also shows the greed from the companies. Like people aren't just blind people, just giving you money. Like they can use, comprehension skills and to sit here and see the greed from the companies, see, like how they are, how their behavior is about it. And it's a huge turn off. And I think that was the
issue. I never felt like I had to buy into microtransactions in that game.
Yeah.
And I didn't want any of this stuff. Like, it was fine as is. Some people did buy in, you can tell from certain outfits that they had. But I didn't. I just wasn't going to do that. And it seems like they were just like, dang, we can't make all of the money off of them. Well, shut it down. And it was just like, really? Like, y'all had to do it that way? Okay.
It seems like there's this behavior of the development team almost being angry at you. That you didn't, buy into the predatory practices. You didn't buy a bunch of like battle passes, season passes. You didn't buy NFTs. And it's like, well, it's your fault. So as punishment, we're going to take the bait away because you didn't take the bait. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it looks like. Which is unfortunate, but at the very least, at least we still do have enough games that's out here right now that is still doing things correctly. There's still some of them, and we could talk about a couple of them right after our unofficial sponsor in the middle. I think I want to go ahead and do that now. So I like to always talk about how you can get free games from Epic Games is the main place that I talk about. But every now and then we'll find a free game somewhere else. But Epic Games gives you free games every week. Sometimes it's like twice a week. But now it seems like they're back to the once a week thing. And even then they do their little mystery giveaways. But just like what you've heard before, all you need to do is have a membership. You don't need to actually pay for the membership or have a credit card online. You just need to create a profile and claim each game as it becomes available. And then later on, if you don't have a PC, once you get a PC, you'll have a nice variety in a library where you'll get to pick and choose a lot of cool games to play. Indie games and some AAA games go in there. We've seen Death Stranding more than once go in there. Yep. It's the only one that comes to mind right now, but there's been a couple of them.
I consider XCOM. I feel like that was in there.
Alien Isolation, I would say that's more AA, but yeah, that was another big one. Mm-hmm. If you're into any of those farming games, they had a bunch of those, and then they had like the Jurassic Park one, whatever that one's called, Jurassic Park Evolution.
Evolution.
Yeah. Plenty of that stuff. So the one that's available right now, I mentioned it last week, so you have from now until July 20th, that's going to be Train Valley 2. So you have from now to July 20th for Train Valley 2. And then the next one, from July 20th to July 27th, this one is going to be Murder by Numbers. I looked at that one. That one was a M-rated puzzle game with a lot of story text. Interesting looking game. Fun. Yeah, nice little game. This is a game that I would recommend you play probably handheld. The ROG Alley, I almost said Steam Deck, but Steam Deck too, but ROG Alley, I would recommend for Epic Games. If you get that system, it's pretty much laid out for you. You have Windows 11, and then it's just, you have the Epic app, log into the app, all your stuff is there, and you launch whatever. I guess I'll mention. So it's been about a week now. I've had the Steam Deck. I don't know if I'm going to do an actual comparison video. I can give you some impressions right now, and then as we go along, weeks by weeks. But the ROG Alley, just controls wise, is very similar to an Xbox controller, as far as the button layout and the D-pad, where on the Steam Deck it seems to be slightly smaller. It's like, and then the sticks layout is a little bit odd, but I knew that going into it, but the buttons are smaller, where on the ROG Alley, the buttons are like almost the exact same size as a controller. The Steam Deck still is bigger, and it still has this little trackpads. I haven't really used the trackpads, but initially I thought my unit was broke because it wasn't launching nothing, and that's because it was going through its initial updates or whatever straight out the box, and I had to restart it. And then once I restarted it, everything was updating and stuff. And so I was able to download a game on both systems and play on one handheld, and then the other handheld registers my save data. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I tried that. Other than that, it's still too early to say which one is better for me, but right away I think I would probably still prefer the ROG Alley over it. The Steam Deck does have a very good UI though. The UI is good, where ROG Alley is like, you got a computer in your hand. You got to go through start and menu and stuff until they have the armory crate, but it's still, it doesn't feel like a UI. It feels like it's just a pop-up. Where on the Steam Deck, it has a full Steam UI for the Steam Deck. You still have a desktop, but it's not presented where it's like a pop-up. It's like you got to go out of your way to get the UI off the screen to see the desktop. And you really don't need to see it if you're just using it as a gaming system. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. We could move forward. Your game on the screen, one of the newer games that we haven't really talked about at all. You want to tell us the name of this and what it's about?
So Shadowrun, speaking of Epic game, I got this for free off of Epic.
Okay.
Games. So Shadowrun, this one's called Shadowrun Dragonfall. So
Okay.
the Shadowrun is a series of games that date back to like 1990s. It's like it was a tabletop game. Think of it as like a more complicated Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
When like from the original one, it's like Dungeons and Dragons and Cyberpunk fused together. So, for those that don't know, Cyberpunk was also a tabletop and is a tabletop game as well, similar to Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
So this game has like different races where you have like orc, which that's the image of the guy on the screen right now. Dwarf, the other image, like elf, things like that, human. So it's your D&D races, but then there's also like cybernetics, and you live in like a cyberpunk city, and you're using like guns and stuff, as well as magic. So it's like a nice blend of the two types of worlds. And for this game is basically, best way I can describe it is if you really wanted to play some D&D or cyberpunk, but all your friends are busy. So you get the solo adventure that you can do here. You use like the mouse to kind of click around and move. You get into combat scenarios, but like you can put stats into different like types of skills. So either you can just be guns blazing, you can be just a punchy guy, you can talk your way through things. I know, for example, there was a part where it was like a drug house, and we had to like get to the guy in charge to go save this one girl, and we could like just walk straight through and do a bunch of gun ho like super action film stuff. But I was able to convince this one junkie to kind of like let us use this like back entrance and everything to avoid most of the fighting, so we could save our health for like the boss like level. And yeah, it's a really fun click game. You're like shooting around, you're trying to solve puzzles. It is not handholdy at all. Like there was a one puzzle where I had to get past the security guard and I couldn't figure out how to do it, and I actually had to look it up. And apparently, there was just a random NPC sitting to the side who happened to have a ladder, and I needed to go either buy the ladder or convince them to let me use the ladder, so I could like lean it up against this gate to climb over when I send somebody else to go distract the guard.
Okay.
And like pay them, so I had to pay somebody to distract the guard. I had a high enough charisma to convince the guy on the street to just let me use the ladder real quick. So while they distracted the guard, I was able to lean the ladder and then climb over. But like, I had to figure that out on my own. So it's a nice like puzzle, turn-based fighting game.
All right. Well, for anybody who never claimed it, I was looking up under Epic Games. So I believe the base game should be $14.99, and then the deluxe version should be $24.99, and then there's the Shadowrun trilogy that's supposed to come with Shadowrun Dragonfall Director's Cut, and then Shadowrun Returns Deluxe Edition. And then that's showing as $54.99 for a bundle.
Yeah, so there's several different Dragonfall or Shadowrun campaigns and everything. So that's what you're seeing there. Epic at one point did give them all, I think, away at a time for free because I have like 3 of them.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, you know what? Epic has their little like $15 coupon or whatever. This could be a good game to like use that on, because I know they always say it has to be $15 or more, and then they'll have like either a $10 off coupon or a $15 off coupon. I know for sure they're going to probably do it again this holiday season, because they always seem to do that every like November, December time. And I'm always like looking and saying like, well, which game am I going to get? The last year I got the KO, the Kangaroo game.
It's a good game.
Funny enough, that is one of the games that I play on the ROG Alley. But
that's
yeah,
a good game to play. Yeah.
I did that just to start it off, mainly because platformers help me relax during the week. And I don't have to hook up a big TV or hook up the
platformers are your cozy game. Turn-based are mine.
The cozy game. You know, it's funny. I bought the Steam Deck. I bought the Steam Deck on July 4th because they had a deal, and then they had a deal on the dock as well. I still haven't tried the dock yet. Like it's just, I took it out the box to look at it. It's very small, but I haven't hooked it up. And I don't know which controller I will hook up with it. I got to figure it out, but I will hook it all up to the TV just to see if it works, I guess. But I'm really just, I'm into the handhelds. I'm into the handhelds a lot more. Almost everything but the Playdate. But
yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to get that one because you got the rest.
Yeah, the Playdate. We gotta. Because I think I'm the only channel out here who's gonna have news on the Playdate.
I don't know how to record footage for the Playdate.
You just gotta put your phone like in front of it and then just like record the phone. You gotta do the cam copy version. You remember how they used to do that in the movie theaters? Be like, this is the cam version. Well, you gotta do the cam version, and then you can get it. Yeah, maybe you can get the that Mario Kart game that they got before before Nintendo cease and desist that bad boy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we almost done. We got a couple more of your topics. So what's going on with Persona 5 voice actors, man? Woo. And this AI boom?
This will tie into a much bigger topic too, but for the short version, Erica Lindbeck. So she's done voices for Persona. I'm pretty sure she plays what's her name? The Futaba game. So the favorite nerd for Persona 5. She's her voice. People have been able to use AI to copy her voice and do other stuff.
Ooh.
And she spoke out against it and has left social media for it. And like a lot of people like sticking up for her and everything. But like voice actors, this is a scary thing because like their whole livelihood is their voice and everything. Right, and then you're like AI is just copying it and like doing whatever they want with it. So of course there's the short like issue where it's people can use their voice for whatever and it can like make them look bad. Right. But then it's also the issue of like if people could just do this with the voices and everything, you could stop paying voice actors.
Right.
And just have their voice now. But then also it's like stealing a painter's hands. Right? It's like this is their voice and you're just stealing their thing.
Yeah, I did want to mention also on that, I guess, real quick, because I've heard about the voice acting thing with, I think it was Skyrim, but what people were doing was using AI to add like new voice lines, and it was more just to add to Skyrim because people are always modding Skyrim, but I think they were using their voices and stuff to try to add more storyline.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, and then also there was the people who were doing the not safe for work version of it too. But at the same time, it was the actors' voices, and they have long been done with the game, you know.
That's not a good thing.
And that game, because it's weird, it's like, well, the game is like 10 plus years old, and it's like, now you're using AI to mod and keep going. Yeah.
When someone can like do the voice, like I know there's this famous video, it's one of my favorite videos online where it's like Goofy, like the character Goofy from Disney, like in a court case. This is a super like funny thing. At the same time, it's somebody like able to do their voices, and to me that's just talent from like a person being able to do it.
There's a lot of Kermit the Frogs out there.
Yeah, versus a lot of Kermit the Frogs out there, right? Versus taking a bunch of voice lines and literally stealing the person's voice to like do stuff. I don't know, it's a little bit weirder. Maybe it's just because I sometimes question where technology is at and like AI and all that other stuff.
There's a gray area there though. The only gray area though is like if the person died. Cause I know, like I remember, I think it was Toy Story 4, the most recent one, where the guy who voiced Mr. Potato Head passed away, and I think the story was instead of recasting him, they didn't have as many lines for him, but they wanted to keep his original voice, so they used like words and stuff that he said from all the other films and spliced it together as best as they could to give him the little bit of lines that
they did that in
do.
a bad way on South Park with Chef.
Okay.
It was purposely done. Like, you could tell they spliced it because they purposely did a horrible job at it. But they did that with Isaac Chef voice.
Yeah, and then you have those weird moments where it's like in music and stuff where people's voices being used. I remember
there was a whole issue with a song being taken down from Drake.
Yeah, and I remember like Tupac. There was like 50 Tupac albums that came out after he died. Like that technically was his music, but it was just like weird because it was like he was already passed away and the music didn't really stick. Everybody only kept listening to the
Juice WRLD now. They're still releasing tracks.
Yeah.
Juice WRLD.
So, but to actually just manipulate the voice altogether is something, because it's a weird area, because I know I'm a big fan of Transformers, and the voice actor for Optimus Prime, they used to sell like his mouthpiece thing, like on like a auto-tune kind of thing, where you could mimic his voice. I think it was in the helmet. Like if you bought the Optimus Prime helmet, like you could talk and then the voice would come out, and then they had like a voice changer thing that was supposed to mimic his voice and thing. It was like more of a like prank kind of stuff. But I remember his being one of those distinct voices that people was using. Yeah, it's a weird thing.
So, but it is like, you know, at the same time, it's like you're making a goofy, clearly video, and the person happens to really sound like the character because you're stringing together the voices and everything. So there is a sense of innocent fun. It's like it's clearly not them or something like that. Whereas still, it is, like I said, it's like stealing a painter's hands.
I think I think the equivalence would be like something like the actors are looking at a situation like, for example, Iron Man from MCU. Like if you were able to just use Iron Man from like the movie Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, and then from that point forward make all the other films leading up to Endgame and the actors no longer even involved. Like you fully CGI'd him, you fully got his voice.
Yep.
Like
and I
the
mean,
Hulk or something.
The, voice, like it just scans your voice and then you're able to say whatever you want and sound like that. It's like just doing that enough. Yeah. It is that, and especially if it was like we made our own series of Iron Man movies, and it was that. It was Robert Downey.
There were some YouTubers taking advantage of that, making YouTube content where it was just pretty much like they were using their voice plus that Chat GT thing, and it was just self-producing content basically at that point.
Yep.
While they just
I've heard about people also using Chat GPT. Apparently, somebody did it for like a resume and things like it's just, I don't know. I don't like where technology is going. Where it's just
you would think I would use it for my channel, but I'm trying to be authentic, folks. I could have probably had plenty of vids out that I missed for the past couple of months. Yeah.
When we're starting to use it to replace human thought instead of helping human thought, it's a weird way. Like, there's one thing to say, like, I don't know how to say this like in a professional way. How do I do this in Chat GPT versus like, hey, make my resume for me.
Yeah.
Or like make this like script.
I've heard of people using it. I've heard of people using it though to like make their actual job easier, and I've seen them brag saying that like something that used to take me 3-4 hours to do is now taking only a few minutes because they're making the thing do it basically.
Yeah, and I do not like that.
But it's when you get them in the robots. Once you put them in an actual robot that got the ability to do harm and rip open a car and run at 50 miles an hour or something, that's when it's gonna get wild. That's when it's gonna get wild.
Like, I'm just like I think I mentioned this to you. Like outside of like the history of like technology movies, the only one that was always good was the Jetsons. Where like everything else something goes wrong and everything. And like the craziest thing always to me was the whole Alexa thing where I saw the commercial was like, Alexa, open the front door. And it's like, excuse me? Like, and I had a friend who had an Alexa for like controlling the lights in his place. Yeah. And he would just be like, Alexa, room 1, like on. And the lights just turned on. And then our other friend was like, who doesn't sound anything like him, was just like, Alexa, room 1 red, and the lights just turned red. So now it's just answering to anyone's voice, which means from the outside, if someone knows where it's at and if they're loud enough, they can just be like, Alexa, open front door.
Yeah, Alexa, open the door. Alexa, where is the safe? Alexa, right? Open the safe.
And I feel like I'm the only person thinking about that. Because everybody else is like, oh, that's cool. And
Alexa, I'm like, burn the evidence. I'm leaving.
Right?
Alexa, initiate self-destruct sequence or something. Start counting down by 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or whatever.
It's just me.
That's crazy, man. Any more on this topic? You said it was bigger, or is that it?
Ties into the stuff about the actor strike.
Yeah. I guess it's just, it reminds me also of like in the fast food era. I remember there was like a whole bunch of like controversy around like eventually they were going to remove all the fast food workers with like a computer, and that became a thing. And then I remember they were saying the same thing about the cashiers at like retail stores, which technically kind of did. They kind of did that.
I refuse. I don't use them. I do not use the self-checkout.
You don't use the self-checkout?
Nope, at all. I go, like, in my head, I'm like, they are getting paid to be here. Why do I have to do the work of the self-checkout? And if I'm going to do the self-checkout, don't get mad at me that I rung up the new TV as a banana.
I do use the self-checkout. I do.
I am not a trained cashier, so my bad for pressing the wrong buttons. You can't get mad at me and call me a thief.
I used to see PS5 memes where it was like people was ringing up something $10-15 or something. It was the PS5. Yeah. I've seen memes like that.
That's not my fault. I'm not a trained cashier. So open up the registries. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Speaking of, I just want to mention real quick. So I saw a PSVR 2 in the wild inside of a random Walmart of all places. Still did not see an actual PS5 in the actual Walmart. Do you think they keep them in the back? I just think it's weird. Like, why would you put the VR 2 on the shelf and then you're still not putting the actual PlayStation 5s on the shelves? But I did see it. I technically could have had the ability to buy it. I was choosing better not to do it. It's funny. That's like the last piece of hardware too. But no, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be this. It would have seemed a little irresponsible because I don't think I'm gonna use that too often. I still don't even know. It doesn't have a game that I really want to play yet either.
Yeah.
But I did see at least one. I can honestly say I've never seen a PS5 on the shelves. I have seen the models and display cases, but they never had it where you could like play it. And then the same thing. I've only
seen them stack the boxes in the back. Like you go walk in and ask for one, and they just walk to the back and grab it.
Yeah, maybe it's like that still, but same thing go with Series X. I haven't just seen it on the shelf. I do think actually no, I take that back. I think Series S, the white one. I've seen that one a few times. Actually saw that today as well. But I don't see the $500 systems. I haven't seen them on the shelves. That's why I thought it was kind of odd that they had the VR2 because it was still listed as $550. So yeah, that was out there. It was only one, but it was sitting there. Yeah. But anything else you want to say before we get out of here, man?
Oh yeah, so tying over to this bigger issue for the voice actor stealing, actors strike. So now the writers are on strike and the actors are on strike. So pretty much everything is now ceased production. Any movies that are coming out end of July, August, they're not going to get any sort of promotion. So if you were looking forward to a movie, I would say look it up yourself to see what's coming out and check out any early trailers that may have already dropped for it, because there's no promotion that's going to be coming from these movies, from the actors. So actors are fighting for a more fair wage, where they said there used to be like a standard minimum of what they would receive, and that hasn't gone up in like years, and like since like 2003 or something like that. And then also, for example, one of the actresses from the show Marvel's Runaways, she would receive residuals from the show, and then early this year, Disney Plus just removed it from their streaming service, and it was just like, is not bringing in the numbers that we want gone. So all her residuals from it are now gone. Like she ain't making money from it anymore. And there's nowhere to go find it for streaming now. And I don't know if the series was like sold on like DVD or Blu-ray or things like that. It's just not there anymore. It used to be on Hulu as well, and it's just gone from both. There's other shows like that too. And then another big issue is the extras. So like extras in a movie, there's people who are professional extras. What their job is to be the person in the restaurant in the back, or the person running away from the zombie and getting bitten. Like that's or the zombie, right? Like that's their role. They're extras, and they haven't been getting paid as much. Their wages hasn't gone up. But then also one of the bigger issues is what tech has been talking about late to potentially do now is the person, like the extra would have to sign a contract that says basically they filmed them for one role and then use AI to use that person in any other role they desire without filming them or paying them. So the idea is like if I signed on as an extra and I filmed this one movie, like I'm in the next Thor movie, for some reason as a background character, they can now use my likeliness and my my image and everything in any movie that they produce, and I don't get paid for any of it. I only get paid for my Thor appearance. Which now means one, again, I'm not getting residuals for what I need, but two, that's one less role for a person in any other movie because they don't need them. They're using my AI look for it, which eventually will remove jobs for extras. Like they'll already have a set of extras and you'll see the same group of people, maybe with a hair change, in every movie, and none of them have to get paid. They only have to pay the star actors until that's not a thing anymore, right? So there was that issue where they're like, yo, this has to stop. Now, Disney CEO Bob Iger, who just made like 48 million or something like that, and when he made his 48 million, they had to let go of 7,000 Disney employees due to budget cuts, right? And remove things from the streaming service and everything. And this guy's the CEO. He says the actors and screenwriters or actors and writers are not being realistic about their demands. Wow. He's calling them out and saying like they're asking for too much. He's like, look, we're trying to come up with a fair wage for the writers and a fair wage for the actors, but to just completely stop working, like what's wrong with? They're like, we're just moving to AI and things are getting more impressive, and they just need to understand that and be okay with it. I don't understand why they're so mad. Like, come on, get to like really, you're gonna stall everything because you're just unhappy. What are you doing? Like that's basically what he's saying right now. So he's saying they're not being realistic and they need to keep.
Wow.
Mind you, all he does is sit back and make
yeah, of course.
So yeah, that's going on. I remember originally some actors were protesting with the writers, like only because that was another thing. ChatGPT was being used to replace writers. They're like, why do we need to hire these writers when we can just ask the computer to write it for us? So they were using the computer to write it. So then writers are getting fired or losing their jobs. So they're like, we're protesting because we see where this is going, and the actors standing with them, and then now extras have to stand in because they're trying to replace them with AI as well, along with just not pay them. So this is where we're at right now. Just there's going to be a lot of movies being pushed back, and expect a lot of things to just not come out. Or if you're looking forward to any fall shows that are like seasonal, expect them to come late because everybody's on strike right now.
That's crazy. You know, I thought about that's probably funny, but also just bad. That I probably I should mention it after the air, but I'm probably gonna say it right now. Like, because this is gonna be so messed up, but I just think that it's probably gonna happen. It's gonna be funny and bad at the same time. But I could see the people basically replacing the ASMR chicks, like all of them, basically by all by doing the all like the making the chat say all suggestive stuff, put it on repeat, like just all of that. I could just see them doing that.
There are ASMR channels that are pure like it's a pitch black screen.
That's scary.
With like just talking over it. So it could get replaced. They're already starting.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting replaced by AI. But yeah, sorry, his exact words that people are upset is from the Disney CEO. He said they're being disruptive. That's what he called them. They said, quite frankly, there's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. They are adding to the set of challenges that this business is already facing that is quite frankly very disruptive. That's his issue with it. He said they need to just go with the flow. Like, we're trying to negotiate, but like, come on, man. Go with the flow. It reminded me of this image I just saw of a McDonald's that posted a sign in both English and Spanish that said quitting without like a 2-week notice is prohibited.
That's crazy.
They said,
like, you just can't just leave. Okay.
Nope. Yeah, you're not allowed. It's prohibited. 2 week. You got to give a 2-week notice. Otherwise, you're breaking the rule.
But they don't do that with you, though.
Nope.
You can go immediately. They can embarrass you with, like, have the people, escort you out with your box full of your little stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah. Well, I think the only way that they can, as the people in general, the only way that they can combat this is with like cancel culture, because they use cancel culture to research everybody else's past and stuff to try to cancel people. They would have to research the companies and see like if they're using AI to do all this stuff and not using people, and just say, I'm only going to support a company that uses people. That might seem hard to do. You have to get your hands on a lot of information, but like, that's the only way I could see it, because it all still comes down to the money, and people have to take more control of their money, and their money, what they do with their money is what dictates everything. So if everybody looks into everything first and say, no matter how good your product is, if you're like doing it in a way where you are not helping the community, I guess, not creating jobs and stuff, getting extra political about it, then you can say, okay, well, I'm not going to support this particular product, basically. Yeah, but I guess that's all we probably have for you right here. More news will probably come out as far as the stuff we mentioned earlier in the day, which we could probably talk about if it's confirmed next week, as far as the Activision thing with Xbox. And then if they actually come out with the news about The Last of Us 2 actually being a full remaster, I guess, re-release for the PS5. And I can imagine they're going to probably just keep doing that as much as they can everywhere. But yeah, awesome summer so far. I'm enjoying it. I hope you all are enjoying it. I will catch you on the next video. You will see some more content. I know I keep saying it, but I think I have a formula set where I can get content coming out and it doesn't interfere with any of my businesses. Okay. But yeah, other than that, I will see you next video. Peace.